one after the other. I'm like, Maria, maybe you should actually spend some time here.
I mean, we can ask ourselves, what would we take here? But in the end,
I
Seth's
love
gonna-
watching Seth draft. Sometimes he throws us some real curveballs.
Yeah, sure.
Here's Rite of Bells and Lock, our rare, which he has pulled to the front, which is just a house. And it's a saga, which you talk about being, 3 cards in the form of one. Is that what you like?
It's quite a good one. The 6/6 is powerful for sure, but Phyrexian Scriptures, if you're going to go for one of those black sagas, is the supreme one, the best of them. I think Rite is good, and I don't fault him for first picking it. I did see that Shivan Fire also in the pack, and I might have been a little bit more tempted to take that. But Rite of Bells and Lock does a lot of work, and
Also,
certainly one of the more powerful cards in that pack.
You see a Shauna Sisei's Legacy also in that pack, too.
And you don't necessarily want to take a 2-color card right off the bat, especially one that's not necessarily super bomby. We were talking about Slimefoot, and I'm sorry, I keep harping on Slimefoot.
You love Slimefoot.
It's like that's a 2-color card you would consider taking first pick because it just wins on its own. Whereas Shauna, it requires work, right? She doesn't win on her own. You need a mass of creatures to make her large. She doesn't have tramples, so unless you can give her some sort of evasion, then it's very hard.
Daneth the Capuchin pulled to the front here for Seth Manfield. On Sarah's Wings, though, in the pack as well as a Fiery Intervention, but Danitha is going to be his pick. How do you like this?
Daneth is just one of the premium 3-drops in the format. It's so good on offense and defense because of the Vigilance First Strike. Like, you would be amazed at how many decks just fold against a Danitha in the early game, and then if Seth finds any combat tricks, if he ends up running her combat tricks or removal spells to back her up, it's just so hard to defeat.
And that lifelink, really important.
Yep.
All right, there's a Blink of an Eye in here. Triumph of Gerard in white and another Danitha.
Yeah, and that's a really big signal because I think Danitha is one of those uncommons that it's not always going to win the game on its own, as it is a 2/2, so it does get smaller later in the game compared to other creatures. But getting too early and then just finding like the Jousting Lance we see in that pack, finding any of those equipment or auras is going to really make it real nice for Seth.
All right, say Danitha wasn't in there. There's also a Triumph of Gerard. How do you feel about that card?
Yeah, that card's gone way down in my opinion.
I agree.
It can do some work, but forcing the counter to go on your largest creature can sometimes not work to your benefit. It's kind of going all in on one creature, so any bounce or removal spell that's targeting on that creature is going to be a problem.
Mesa Unicorn is a card that I really like. Mishra's Self-Replicator still in this pack as well, which could work nicely with what he's got going on.
Yeah, so far all 3 of the cards he's taken are historic. He's taken the Rite and 2 Danithas, so Replicator, if he wants to go a little bit more of a longer game, is certainly a fine pick here. I could have also seen taking the Adam and Will just keep taking the white cards. Mesa Unicorn is a good 2-drop, right? 2/2 lifelink for 2 in previous formats was an easy take.
Bishop Soldier.
Exactly. But in this format, it's just fine.
He's also been he's passed 2 Shaunas as well.
Yep, absolutely. And so I think he's going to probably try to avoid green. The awkward thing is that passing 2 Shaunas, you might send signals, that green-white is open, and he's going to take all the green, all the white cards.
Pegasus Courser. This card has really impressed me.
Yeah, I think that's actually another big signal. Pegasus Courser, in my opinion, is one of the best white commons, and in conjunction with like Danitha, that's going to let her continue attacking later in the game, say if the opponent has a 3/3 on the ground.
But do you ever pass Yargle? You know what I mean? How can you?
Always. Despite what people in chat might think. Don't get me wrong, the stats are fine. 9/3 for 5 mana that's a lot of stats, right?
Yeah.
But I mean, come on.
Excavation Elephant in white here maybe he's going to start. Oh, Academy Drake.
Exactly. That's the biggest signal in this pack by far. I think Academy Drake is one of the premium blue commons. It's just a Windrake early. Windrake's the classic 2/2 for 3.
Right.
2/2 flyers for 3. And then later in the game, if you have extra mana or you can afford to wait a turn or two, it just becomes a 4/4 flyer.
He's taking Sentinel of the Pearl Trident.
Yeah, so he might be going more for the historic route. I
Sure.
think Drake is still probably slightly better as a creature, but the Sentinels here do have more synergy with what he's currently taken.
So what can he do with this card?
We were talking about it yesterday, but more often than not, you're just using it to perhaps save a historic card from a removal spell. If not that, then you're flashing it as a 3/3, maybe to potentially eat a 2/2. But there aren't too many great resetting the triggers of your your historic cards.
He's going to pick up an Adamant Will here, which has turned out to be a really good combat trick, and it's in foil.
Yeah, the only thing that really gets the Adamant Will is like a Vicious Offering because it gives -X, so that gets around the Indestructible, but otherwise Adamant Will is just solid.
All right, let's take a look at what he's picking up here as kind of the pack sort of wind down. There's a Skin Witch in the pack, a Thallid Omnivore, Voltaic Servant. Doesn't look like he's even interested in taking what he could be a filler in Tolarian Scholar if he does go blue.
Yeah, I think I might have taken the Omnivore there. That card has done a surprising amount of work, but Calico Skin Witch is also a very good black common, right?
Right.
We were talking about it yesterday, but you can play it early if your opponent's a little bit more aggressive, just to block some creatures as a 1/3 early in the game, and then later on, making them discard 2 cards. Very relevant in a format where people are often holding kicker cards in their hands later in the game.
Knight of New Benalia here was the pickup for Seth, which, is a card, but it dies to Saprolings.
It does, yeah, and you're going to frequently sideboard it out if you do run into the decks that are running a massive go-wide strategy. He's passed 2 Shaunas to his left, so a player might be moving into that Saprolings strategy. I don't think he's seen many Saproling producers, no migrations, no Spore Swarms, so very likely that somebody is picking those all up.
Blessing of Belzenlock, the pickup for Seth there, +2/+1 until end of turn if it gains lifelength. If it's legendary, Danitha already has that, though.
Yeah, that's like the 23rd or 24th card in your deck. It's not completely unplayable, but you're generally leaving it to the side.
Here he takes a Blood Tallow Candle, which we saw on camera all the time. I mean, in Sealed Look, you're going to take the removal that you can get, but...
Oh, yeah, for sure. And, Candle, historic triggers, fits into any deck. It's cheap to cast, so you can get it underneath a lot of the other spells. And then -5/-5 deals with a lot of the problematic creatures in the format.
And there he picked up a Broken Bond. He might just be looking to get that out of the draft because this isn't a league, everybody. This is a real draft, a real table draft. And Broken Bond could mess up some of his plans if he does plan to pick up some of that equipment you talked about.
Yeah, there was a run amok in one of the previous picks that I think he could have also considered. Red-White, we were just saying, not my favorite archetype, but, with Danitha, your opponent is kind of incentivized to multi-block Danitha, and a run amok can really just blow them out.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. Right, final card here for Seth. It's just a Demonic Vigor. It's going to add that to the stack. And I think, we're not quite sure what Seth's secondary color is at this point.
No, he first picked that Rite of Belzenlock, which we'll see here in a second when he gets his review in, but I don't think black's an open color. I think white is pretty much a good color to be in for him. It is certainly a little bit open. That 3rd pick Danitha after taking that 2nd pick Danitha was a really nice start in the white direction. Most people consider white the best color standalone. It has so many good playables at common and uncommon and just high power level overall, but we'll have to see what Seth wants to do in his second pack. Now, he still has a ton of time to find a secondary color. If he wants to even play 2 colors, it's possible that he ends up mono white.
Wow, really?
Yeah, if you're going to be one color, I think white is the most likely for that to happen just because you can pick up so many good playables. But that has to be the open color, though, because if too many people are fighting for white, then you're not going to get many good cards. You're going to end up with, multiple charges, multiple Knights of New Benalia, and you're just like, I have enough playables, but are they really playable?
Right. So how do you feel pack 1 went for him overall?
I would feel good if I was in Seth's position right now. You have enough high power cards in your main color that, whatever you open, if you open say, bomb of any other color, maybe he opens what's a good, say, green, or maybe he wouldn't want to take a green card, but... Yeah,
he was passing all those Shaunas. I don't know, like something fun, Varix Blade.
Sure, Varix, yeah. If you opened a Varix, he would probably just jam that unless there was a really good colorless card like Icy Manipulator, or say another really good white card that was comparable.
There's a Cast Down.
Is it a Karn's
Temporal Sundering, I believe, in there. Yep. Adeli's a Cinderwind.
So this is not the pack that he was looking to open, because there's just no good white cards, really. So he's going to have to take a card that's off-white. Now, he did take that Rite of Belzenlock. He took a few other black cards, so the Cast Down is a fine pick. It's just black wasn't super open getting past in pack 1, which means he's likely to see he's likely to see a decent number of black cards in this pack. It's just then again in pack 3 he shouldn't expect to get too many good black cards.
All right, well, he's going to pick up the Cast Down. Very solid removal spell.
The thing is that there are so many legendaries in the format that it's actually a little bit worse than what you would first think.
So you like Eviscerate better?
Oh, certainly.
Yeah.
Certainly. I would take Eviscerate over Cast Down all day. The thing is, the Cast Down being instant helps it quite a bit, but again, a lot of the problematic creatures in this format are legendary. And if your opponent even has like Onsera's Wings or they've clutched one of your creatures, those creatures are now legendary as well, so it's just extra hurt for the Cast Down.
Pick up the cards. You have 35 seconds.
Okay,
Ooh,
there's a Tatyova.
Tatyova in here, and there's an Eviscerate.
Oh, yeah, he's just jamming the Eviscerate. That's
Absolutely.
not even close.
He's going to pull a Weight of Memory to the front of the pack, Skittering Surveyor, but Eviscerate's the clear pick here.
I don't even see that those are cards. I just see that Eviscerate.
20 seconds.
They don't even appear for you.
It looks like he's fanning stuff out, but again, there's just the Eviscerate there, right?
Yeah. There's another Shauna in there.
Well, overall, it was a solid pack. Like, there were plenty of good playables, and Skittering Surveyor was probably a decently high pick as well, if Eviscerate wasn't there. But
Are you still playing old skits if you're in 2 colors?
sure, yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
Cards to the right.
Just helps
it's
getting
just
your double
value.
color
Yeah,
or
it's
whatever.
just value.
I love that card.
No Pilgrim's Eye, but we'll make do.
Whoa. Shots fired.
We'll make do. We'll make do.
30 seconds.
Oh, Knight of Malice here.
Ooh, excellent pickup, Knight of Malice.
Ooh, so actually he has a
Ooh,
few really
Pegasus
solid picks.
Courser. Slimefoot Kenji.
Yeah, but he's so much heavier in white right now that I would actually consider taking the Pegasus over Knight, although Knight is a better card.
10 seconds.
Yeah, he's just going to take the Knight here.
And that's fine. Again, we were expecting him to get a lot of black cards here in Pack 2, and that seems to be the case. I don't think it's likely that Pegasus Courser wheels, but if he's very lucky, it would.
11 cards to your right.
But yeah, his deck's shaping up quite nicely.
There you see Knight of Malice on your screen. First strike, hexproof from white. Gets +1/+0 as long as any player controls a white permanent. Has +1/+0, I would say, usually. Sanctum Spirit in this pack. I love this card as well.
It's just the threat of activation on this card,
Right.
right? You don't think of as a 4-mana 3/2 as being very good, even if it has lifelink, but the fact that you can just be like, for free, I discard a historic card, oh, now it's indestructible, just means that your opponent doesn't often want to block it in combat, or if they do, you can get them if you have not only a historic card in hand, but then a follow-up trick.
And we know that Seth has already drafted, his first 4 picks or 3 were all historic.
Yeah.
Not like you want to discard Danitha, but
No, and if
You
we're
might.
if we're thinking about Seth's curve right now, he has quite a few 3-drops, but a good mix of 2s and 4s as well. So he's looking in good shape, I would say.
we've got a Jaya's Immolating Inferno and a Halar the Firefletcher in here, just kind of sitting lonely in the pack. Not a lot for Seth, though.
Is he considering hate drafting the Immolating Fire here, or Inferno rather?
I don't know, maybe.
I mean, the
He's
other
not going to cast it.
well, the options for him are so poor that he might just not want to see that card in his draft. You know.
Okay.
Draft. Please
And these legendary sorceries, they have an enormous effect usually on the board, but they are usually pretty exceptionally hard to cast.
Right.
pick up the cards. You have 20 seconds.
Taking a look through here, anything for Seth?
The Guardians can reset any sagas that he's picked up outside of the Rite of Bells and Lock. Well, in addition to, rather, the Rite of Bells and Lock, since he hasn't picked up any other sagas yet. That's the only card here for him. And it's a fine card. I think people think, oh man, 5-mana 4/4 with this
Draft.
generally irrelevant ability, but it's not that bad. There was also a Gitu Chronicler in that pack, which I think is one of the better red commons.
Oh, I love that card.
Yeah.
Get back your instant or sorcery from your graveyard for 6.
Yeah, it just gives you an extra of your best red instant or sorcerer in your deck, basically.
Garna the Blood Flame still left in here. There's a Pardic Wanderer and a Zalfirin Void, which, that card has actually impressed me. You just get to scry.
I don't think you're extremely excited about it in even your 2-color decks, but
I mean, I was thinking of it as unplayable. Why would I want to put this in my 2 colors and maybe ruin my mana? But I've been putting it in my 2-color decks and liking it. I guess the bar was very low.
even in a lot of your 2-color decks, especially in white-black, where your mana requirements are going to often have double colors, you're not going to want to run that card. I'm a little bit surprised he took the Wanderer over the Garna there, just because Garna's a pretty good splash, and he's still midway through Pack 2, so picking up a Skittering Surveyor in Pack 3 wouldn't be too hard, but
All right, he passes on that Adamant Will for a Howling Golem here.
He has a decent number of 3s already, but he also already has an Adamant Will, so taking the creature there makes sense.
5 seconds.
I think Seth might like Partick Wanderer a little bit more than most people, though, taking it over Garna. And we did see it in his sealed pool yesterday.
That's true. Another Blessing of Bells and Lock added to the stack there for Seth Manfield. Got to take that rat colony, man. Start the rat colony plan.
I'd probably take it over the second Wanderer.
I've been drafting as many as I can on Magic Online just to build my rat colony deck.
He took the weight of memory.
Oh well, what are you gonna do?
Yeah, I mean, in a world where you take 2 medium cards, one of which you already have,
right?
Why not just take a card that might actually serve some benefit in somebody's deck?
Another Broken Bond here. He might consider hate drafting. There's a Feral Abomination in the pack as well, but he's going to pick up that Bond.
That's a little bit surprising to me.
Does not want it to be in the draft.
I think Feral Abomination's a perfectly acceptable creature at your top end, but
here's a Tragic Poet in this deck. He's going to take the Elephant though, but we saw a pretty sweet History of Benalia deck running 2 Tragic Poets yesterday.
So I'm wondering why Seth would take so many Broken Bonds. Let's see, he has the Rite of Bells and Lock. Does he have any other enchantments or artifacts? He didn't get any equipment, right?
No.
Yeah, interesting. Okay.
Maybe he's preparing for pack 3, who knows?
He's going to have a Helm of the Host in there, and he's like, yeah.
Yeah.
He drafted all that artifact removal.
All right, so Seth pretty well solidifying himself in black at this point, in addition to white, I'd say. Taking a look through his 2 packs, how do you feel the deck is shaping up, Kenji?
It improved, certainly, after the first 4 or 5 picks of the second pack, but after that he was kind of a little bit all over the place, and it didn't really add much. Like, he picked up the Cast Down, the Knight of Malice, and the Eviscerate, and those were the 3 key ones, and he also got like a Sanctum Spirit, I think.
Yes.
But beyond that, the pack 2 didn't really help him that much. I think he's going to be looking for a few more combat tricks. It looks like he does have two Blessing of Bells and Locks, though, and anything to go with the Danithas is going to help quite a bit. But
all right, yeah, you're right. I think there's 3
oh,
blessings.
Yeah, 3 blessings. Okay, and it would not be surprising for him to run 2. Unfortunate that Pegasus didn't come back around.
Right, that card is excellent in his deck. Send those Danithas to the skies.
That's just very annoying as well, as because they're 1/3s. They end up blocking a lot, or not being able to get eaten in the air by opposing flyers.
And you have to aim your removal at a Pegasus of 1/3. Right. Doesn't feel great.
Oh, I'm always happy to kill a Pegasus. That card's just too scary.
There you see the Partick Wanderer at the front that Seth seemed to value a little bit. I want to ask you about the Howling Golem, the 2/3 for 3.
Mm-hmm.
So both players get to draw a card when it attacks or blocks, and that's not enough of a drawback for you?
No, I don't think so. I mean, sometimes you just want another creature on curve, and in Seth's decks especially, he can run out multiple spells a turn, I think, because his mana or his requirements are a little bit cheaper. I think a lot of players are still going to go for the slower, grindier decks.
Sure.
And Seth's going to be a little bit more about the on-curve getcha.
How do you feel the speed of this draft format is overall?
It's faster than sealed, and that's generally the case where draft is going to be faster than sealed. But still, it's slower than a lot of the formats that we've had recently.
Siege Gang Commander here in this pack for Seth. Just an absolute all-star of a card. Baird Steward of Argive in this pack as well.
There's also a Dreadshade, but the triple black is pretty prohibitive. The Dreadshade he wouldn't be casting until like turn 6 or 7, but the thing is, like, Baird is not...
Oh wait, I'm supposed to say Baird, Steward of Argive.
The thing about the Baird is that it's just a 2/4 for 4. Like, a lot of the times it's not that great. I could see taking the Windgrace here.
Yeah, Windgrace Acolyte, a 3/2 flyer. He is actually going to pick up Baird.
Yeah, I mean it's a fine pick, but it's not super exciting, right? That's not the white bomb or black bomb you were hoping to open.
If and if he's I mean, Bear does make you pay your taxes.
Yeah.
All right, there's a Sergeant at Arms. Ooh, there we go. Evera Halcyon Witness in the pack here.
Honestly, I might just take the Deathbloom Thallid.
Kenji!
Evera's good, and it forces some play around from your opponent, but it's not actually the bomb that you think it is at first, right? A lot of the times it just gains 4 life and ends it there. Sometimes it trades with, 2 or 3 creatures, but...
Yeah, he agrees. He's just going to take the Deathbloom Thallid.
I like that pick. Evera is just not what you think it is.
Why is it not good enough?
It's just 6 mana for a 4 to start things off, even if with lifelink is a kind of a poor rate, and a lot of the times it's just trading for 1 or 2 creatures anyways, right? And that's a fine rate. Don't get me wrong. That's not a bad. It's just Deathbloom Thallid is like the premium 3-drop in black, and Seth wants to go a little more aggro here, so.
All right, well, this pack doesn't have a lot here for Seth. Caligo Skin Witch, he has pulled to the front. Shield of the Realm and another Pardic Wanderer. I like the Skin Witch. It's flexible.
Yeah, he'd rather have another Knight of Grace or Malice, but...
Oh, absolutely.
What are you going to do? This gives him some late-game options as well, right? So he can cast the Skin Witch as... I mean, I'm not going to say a super aggressive 2-drop, but if he wants to just curve out like Skin Witch into Danitha into Baird, sure, and there you go. You've got 3 creatures on the battlefield.
Blocks those saplings all day.
I think in most scenarios we're going to see Seth just hold on to the Skin Witch until later. Ooh, and yeah, another Deathbloom Thallid. It's a nice pickup.
And a Thallid Soothsayer as well in the pack.
That's good in some decks. I don't think it's particularly great in his deck. If he wants some more late-game longevity, then maybe he takes the Soothsayer, but I think it's just an easy another Deathbloom Thallid.
So why do you like this as a 3-drop so much?
Well, it just trades effectively very well with a lot of the other 3 and 4 drops. Sure, it does trade with a lot of the 2 drops as well, but there are a lot of Saproling Fungus synergies. It leaves you some value when it dies if it doesn't get exiled. It's just, it's what you want as a 3-drop. It's value written all over it.
Cabal Paladin, excuse me, pulled to the front here. For Seth Manfield here in pack number 3. I've actually never played this card. I suppose if you have enough Historic, it can do some work, maybe?
No, it's probably okay in his deck, right? He's gotten at least 7, 8 Historic
like
cards.
That, yeah.
2 Danitha Baird, Pardic Wanderer, Blood Tallow Candle, Howling Golem.
Mishra Self-Replicator?
Mishra Self-Replicator. Yeah, so he has a decent number of Historic cards. Like, that's not a bad top-end card for him.
Memorial to Glory in this pack has been a nice card in decks that I've headed in, as well as an Acer Glider there.
I think that's just an easy slam land.
10 seconds.
So why are these lands such good draft picks, Kenji?
They're basically just free spells for your deck, if they're on color, right? It would just be replacing a Plains here anyways, but then later on in the game, you can just cash it in for 2 free creatures, in the case of Memorial to Glory. The only bad Memorial is the red one.
Right.
And even then, there are fringe cases where you sideboard that in.
Wow. Get to Chronicler still in this pack.
Yeah, I mean, we saw that late Sheevan Fire in this pack as well, so
yeah, we did.
Somebody with a red deck is going to be a little bit happy about that. Nothing really here for Seth. I don't think he takes Tragic Poet.
Oh, he's considering
Yeah,
taking the Chronicler.
I don't mind hating on the Chronicler.
He's going to pick up Zalfirin Void here.
And that must mean he's actually going to run it in his deck. I don't think he has any double white mana requirements.
Dub in this pack yet, as well as Yargle, Soul Salvage, and Drudge Sentinel.
With 2 Danitha, I can see taking the dub here. I wouldn't take the Yargle. Soul Salvage, though, is another nice value card.
He might be considering Yargle because of the synergies with Historic, but he's just going to take Soul Salvage. Return up to 2 target creature cards from your graveyard to your hand. Knight of Nubenalia still left in this pack.
I would probably just take that here as another 2-drop.
Might as well.
He has 1 already, but
Best friends with the Pegasus.
I think in most scenarios he'd rather have a Knight of Nubenalia on turn 2 into Danitha turn 3 than nothing or Skin Witch on turn 2.
Pick up the cards. You have 10 seconds.
Blood Tallow Candle left here.
Yeah, another Skin Witch as well.
Oh, yeah.
He has a good amount of removal right now, but I mean, he's not going to take any other card than Candle or the Witch.
So now he has 2 Candles, an Eviscerate, and
Cast Down.
Cast Down.
The 2 Skin Witches also
Yeah.
pseudo removal. So. Also, I think you can. In his deck, especially, consider the Blessing of Belzenlock and the Adamant Will as kind of removal spells.
Do you think about that sort of thing when you're drafting? Like, maybe I'm considering these removal as I take them.
What do you mean?
Like,
These removal?
The Blessing of Belzenlock. Or
I'm
Will.
considering like the combat tricks as removal. Yeah, sometimes. Like generally when I don't have much removal, I'll take combat tricks a little bit higher if that's all I'm seeing. And some of these combat tricks are actually just very, very good.
All right, well, there is Seth Manfield's draft, currently sitting at 8-1. 8-1 as we head into round 10 coming up here at Grand Prix Dallas-Fort Worth. Currently the #1 ranked player in the entire world. What do you make of his deck, Kenji?
I think this is probably a 2-1 deck. It's solid overall. He made some good picks early on, and he jumped onto the white train, which was nice. He didn't really get super paid off in the end, but he had enough early picks that it ended up pretty good. As we noted, Black was not super open in Pack 1. He had taken a few cards, and in Pack 2 he picked up that Cast Down, Eviscerate, and a few other cards as well. But Pack 3 only gave him, some Skin Witches?
Right, he didn't get a lot Pack 3.
Yeah, I don't think he got too much in Pack 3, so Packs 1 and 2 went well for him. Pack 3 was, middle of the ground, but overall, it's going to be a solid deck.
And White-Black Historic Matters or Legendary Matters is kind of the theme. And we saw that he played on that theme as well with those multiple Danithas and that Mishra's Self-Replicator. So we'll see if we can make some fun stuff come together with that. Well, we'll get a chance to see that deck in action coming up. But first, these messages.